They also think material things are bad. You know, that if you're spiritual, you shouldn't have material possessions. The reason monks, at least in our tradition, don't have material possessions, I wouldn't say we don't have, we have a few material possessions. We obviously had a Mac, iPhone. And the reason is that material things can consume energy. So in Hindu philosophy, we believe we have a physical body, and within our physical body is an energetic body. And in an energetic body, we have what's called a nadi, it's spelled N-A-D-I. It's an energetic tube, almost imagine a garden hose, that connects me to my iPhone, to my possessions, and to people. And through that garden hose, energy flows out of us. So if I had 100 possessions, I would have 100 tubes, and there would be a little bit of energy flowing through each of those tubes, so I'd be losing energy. But if I had 2 possessions, then I'd only have 2 tubes and energy flowing up to those 2 things. So monks have fewer possessions, so they have less loss of energy. One of the goals for the monk is conservation of energy, hence why monks are celibate. In Hinduism, sex is not considered bad. Obviously, we wrote the manual on sex, the Kama Sutra, so, you know, if you want to have sex, here's the book, right? So we have no problem with sex, and there's 1 billion Hindus in the world, obviously, they're thriving in this practice, right? So sex is not considered bad. Why the celibacy? The celibacy is about the conservation of energy, because the sexual fluid is considered to be sacred and powerful, right? The over 500 people that you interviewed are human men and women that have impacting the world, right? Each one of them is created from one tiny sperm and one tiny egg. That's all it took. Came together, met, 9-10 months later, you got this human being that's changing the world, right? I always ask people, this is London Real, right? How many jugs of sperm has gone down the shower drain or into a blanket or into a bed sheet somewhere, all right? Can you imagine if it took 1 sperm and 1 egg to create so-and-so who's impacting the world, what would a jug of sperm do?
Did you find you had more energy when you were celibate?
Yeah, for sure, right? So as a monk, the goal is conservation of energy through managing and harnessing and channeling the sexual fluid, which we never get trained to do, so people struggle, everyone struggle, I struggle, you know. Anybody that doesn't struggle with it is lying, because it's a natural need of humanity to create, to procreate, right? That's how the species survive, and we need to procreate so that we can come back. Even monks can reincarnate so they can attain enlightenment, right? So monks can't reincarnate if people aren't procreating.
Right.
So we need to procreate. It's a natural urge. It's one of the hardest things to harness and overcome.
And they didn't teach you how to do that. That's one thing they didn't teach you how to do.
Not growing up.
Okay,
but
and not in the monastery. But
yeah, they do.
Oh.
They do teach you how to do that, because asking someone to be celibate without teaching them how to harness and manage their sexual fluid energies, if you don't teach them how to do it, then problems arise. All of a sudden, the altar boy starts to look like Cindy Crawford.
Right.
And now I'm showing my age, because I don't know who the latest supermodel is.
Right, yeah, you are showing your age.
So just to finish that point, Brian, so harnessing the sexual fluid, conservation of energy, having a minimal material possessions, conservation of energy again. The whole goal is to first conserve energy. Second, first, I would say, let me back up. I would say the first goal is to prevent the hemorrhaging of energy, the loss of energy. Second, conserve it. Third, accumulate. One of the goals in life is to accumulate as much energy as possible. Take that accumulated energy and focus it towards what you want to manifest in your life. And I always say to people, life is a manifestation of where you invest your energy. Whatever you put energy into will start to manifest in your life. So energy, the best way to look at energy is to look at energy the same way you look at water. So if I took a watering can and I watered a garden bed, would the weeds grow or the flowers grow? Both, right?
Yeah.
Because water can't tell the difference between the weeds and flowers. Energy is the same way too. Whatever I put energy into will grow. If I put energy into something negative, it will grow. If I put energy into something positive, it will grow. Energy has no ability to discriminate between positive and negative. Whatever I put energy into will grow. So your life is a manifestation of where you put your energy into, where you invest your energy. So the more energy you invest into something, the more it will grow. So then comes to the topic, which I call, when I talk and do some of my workshops, I call it the workshop, the economics of energy. How do you manage energy? So first step, stop hemorrhaging energy. Second step, conserve it. Third step, accumulate. Take that accumulated energy and you invest it into what you want to grow in your life, right? And that's one of the goals, and that's why you have minimal amount of material things. But for some, and that's the reasoning behind it, but somehow humanity, without understanding this, has gone like, oh, look, the monks don't really have possessions, so material things are evil, they're bad.
Right.
There's nothing not uplifting about a Ferrari. When I stand next to a Bugatti, I go, that's a nice car. And I don't go like, oh my God, this is depressing. I feel uplifted, right? I walk into a 5-star hotel, I feel uplifted. There's nothing.
Right. So don't confuse that kind of Spartan practice to conserve energy with the lack of interest in money, which can be used to do anything you want and maybe even push forward a great message.
Exactly, right? Yeah. Look at what you do. How many people have benefited from London Real?
Yeah.
How many messages do you get people telling you that you've impacted their life?
Thousands of thousands, and I think like 250 million people have watched this show. So
one of the annoying things in my life is when I travel around the world, people come up to me every place I go, oh, London Real was so amazing. I'm like, what about me? London Real, I'll like, stop it, enough already, right? But you've taken your efforts, your time, the amount of energy you sacrificed, your money you've poured into this. You probably got to points where you and your wife going like, oh my God, right? In the same way, and you've invested your heart and your soul into creating this so that you can impact humanity and change thousands of lives, millions of lives around the world. And the same way, right? You know, without money, we can't impact. And there's nothing wrong with money, there's nothing wrong with material possessions. Like I said, if you have 500 Ferraris, then that's something else. You know, it's okay to have one Ferrari and put the rest of the money into impacting humanity.
Yeah, funny enough, this is a big hang up with many of my students in my accelerator, and they're not necessarily monks either, you know, but that when it comes to their relationship with money, it's something they have a real struggle with. They think money is dirty. And when I try to convince them that money is actually fuel, it's potentially energy they can use to spread their message and help more people. Also, I teach them when you actually charge people money for a service, they're more apt to actually engage in that service and change their life. It's counterintuitive in that sense. Unfortunately, most of the world has this kind of weird impression. I think what it does is it stops them taking